There's a certain truth about backup offers. This is Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate. And I know that there are times where it makes sense for a seller to accept a certain offer for a certain reason, even if there's more than one offer. So I think that's pretty well established. We've seen a lot of highest and best offers, but sometimes the highest isn't always the best, right? And sometimes a different offer actually might be a lot better for the sellers. But on first glance, if it says cash, right, and a quick closing, that might be super attractive. But there are times we find out that the cash, when you read it, it says there's no financing contingency. So in the Florida FAR contracts and in these offers, if you look at them, it says cash offer, no contingency. What that could mean is that they have a house to sell, or that they're going to go get a loan, but they're putting it under the cash box because they're not getting a contingency that protects their escrow if something goes wrong. So for instance, if I make an offer to buy your house and I check the box that says cash offer, no contingency, I can still apply for a loan. I can absolutely do that. And at the end of the day, when we get to closing, if there's no reason for you not to close because my loan is approved, you just take my money. You don't care if it came from the bank, a hole in the backyard, stuffed into a mattress. As long as you get your money, that's what's important. But what we're missing in this equation is there are times when that first offer is accepted like that, and here's the gotcha, is that we could still accept a backup offer. And if there was a contingency in the contract, or even if there isn't, we can still have a 72-hour kickout clause. Maybe there's an inspection period that's getting in the way of things. There's something else within the contract. So a 72-hour kickout clause, what does that mean? You can't just boot a seller out the door. So, if you sell for 100 and somebody wants to offer you 105, you can't just kick the first buyer away because you like the other one, but you can have a 72-hour kickout clause. And let's suppose that the first buyer cannot or will not or just does not perform what their part of the contract is going to be. They couldn't get through inspections. They're asking for an extension of the closing date. They're talking about needing more time to get the loan through when they check the box, there's no financing contingency. Within that time, if a different offer comes in, and let's say it's a little bit more money, you could invoke that 72-hour kickout clause. Now, there's a list of rules with this, but among that, you've got to provide the offer to the buyer, and if they're using an agent, their agent. So you can scratch out the name of the people buying the property or making the offer. You can scratch out the price. You can just show them the terms and say, listen, I've got a different offer over here. You've got 72 hours to do something, which might be to end the inspections or to close or to do something. If they had a finance contingency in there or the sale of a home, this would be a way to overcome that. Now, I'm throwing a lot of terms out there all at the same time, so you can always hit rewind in the video or just re-listen to this. But thinking this over, if you have more than one offer or you have an offer that you're a little leery of, maybe there's only one offer at the time, but it's based on inspections, it's based on loan approval, it's based on selling a house, it's based on 5 other things. The 72-hour kickout clause, well, that's going to protect you because you can still market the property, and if another offer comes in, then you can say, listen, you've got 72 hours to perform on this and take this action. Otherwise, you know what? Your contract gets torn up, and then we're going to go with this one over here. So it's a way to move forward. Now, the other thing is that when you are having an offer going under contract, a lot of the time people forget that if they get an offer while it's under contract, and maybe it's like active contingent status and it's still being able to be shown, if there's a subsequent offer that comes in there, by filling out the addendum that says backup offer on there, it automatically goes into that next offer phase. So it's already lying in wait. You don't have to go back in the market. You don't have to go back in the MLS and restart showings and all that stuff. You can just move to the next offer. And sometimes what you'll find is a seller may accept the highest and best offer, like the best priced one. But maybe the backup offer is one with the really good terms that you feel like, okay, it's a little less money, but it's going to close. And then you can use those quite often in tandem. 72-hour kickoff clause, and then tied together with a backup offer clause, and now you got something that's really actionable on the part of a seller. Whew, okay, I threw a lot out there. I talk really fast sometimes, and I get all pumped up about this. Here's what I'm going to just boil it down for you. If you're signing an offer and it's a little iffy, maybe insert a 72-hour kickout clause. And then as you continue to market the property, because you can actually accept a written backup offer and tie it together with a 72-hour kickout clause and have cost certainty on both sides. You're either going to get the high price that you really, really want and the closing terms that you really, really want, or you're going to get a little different offer, but much more certainty in the closing. I hope that all made sense to you. This is Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.